I'm so excited about this prompt today. Oh my goodness, this prompt couldn't be any better for me. Paper bag handle and slow stitching. I'm not so big on the slow stitching, but I don't mind it. But the paper bag handle, oh my goodness, that's like totally my thing. And it cracks me up because at the same time, I think if Louisa could have chosen something for the least favorite ephemera, which we had for December 11th, which wasn't already on this list, it would have been both these things, paper bag handle and slow stitching. So I am super curious how Louisa did on this prompt. I can't wait to watch it. I'm sure she persevered somehow, but I wonder how many times she cursed in that video. I'm sorry, Louisa. My dear, it cracks me up. If you happen to be new here and just stumbled upon this video by chance, we are in the middle of Dephemerember 2024, working with fun prompts to encourage you and ourselves to think outside of the box. So this is Luise Heinzl and this is me. Let's get to it. Oh my goodness, so excited. Why is he pink? That must have happened with the distress spritz. I'm actually going to leave this, it's cute. I use paper bag handles in my journals regularly. I also made one for Louisa's journal for Dephemerember, which I made for her. You can see a photo of that here. Maybe you've seen it in Louisa's flip through. If not, you can find Louisa's playlist linked below this video. I think the first time I ever used a paper bag handle is in this incredible gator mouth. I think she is the fullest journal that I have. I did not make this one myself. If you've known my channel for a few years, you know this journal very well. I have filmed a lot in this. Many junk journal snack videos were made in this. And this beautiful journal was made by Nadia from Art Alalai. You can find her handle on Instagram. She's not on YouTube, but she has an incredible Instagram account where she posts a lot about her making these kinds and other kinds of journals. She sells these. So this is one I bought from her. And I really kind of worked it to death. If you want to see a flip through of this finished journal, you can find that link below as well. But what I actually wanted to show you was the first time I ever used a paper bag handle. And it kind of became one of my signature things to do in a journal. You see it here. So that's one side, and this is the other side. We have some metal here, a little tag. I colored it in gold. What's not to love? And I just think it's a really fun element for a page. So I kind of collect these paper bag handles because when I make my planners, so this is my current planner made out of a paper bag, I always cut the handles off. So I always have some extra handles laying around, which is super helpful. If you do not have any paper bag handles that you can use, or you don't have this kind, you only have, so, you know, sometimes they have like stiffened twine or something, you can very easily just make your own. Let's quickly make one together just in case you're not sure how to do this. This is actually not the best paper to do this with because it has like a glossy backside, but it doesn't matter. So let's just cut a strip. And then we just fold it lengthwise. So now you can either just glue this together or you could sew it with a sewing machine, which gives a really nice effect. In this case, I will just glue it together. And then all you do is fold both ends down 45 degrees. And the cool thing is, making your own paper bag handle, you can of course choose the size. So you could make it small and cut it, or make it larger, however large you want. And there's your paper bag handle. Super easy to do. Okay, but I have some here So I'm going to use two that match. I think these are from the same bag. Yeah, I think these two go together. But today I want to do something different because I don't always want to keep doing the same thing. And Dephemerember, of course, is the month to try new things. So I thought this time I want to use these to make a frame like so. So before I glue the pieces together, I'm going to ink it up with ground espresso. Wow, wouldn't this prompt have been fun to channel my inner Louisa like I did yesterday? To have her do this prompt for me. Oh my goodness. See, with that one, I have the feeling I could have really helped her out for her project. I don't know how much she would have enjoyed doing mine though. But it was so cool to channel her for the mini pocket letter. Wow. While I'm inking this up, actually, I have a comment that I received on a recent video that I would love to mention and get back to, because when I read that comment, I was kind of speechless. I didn't know what to say, and so I didn't say anything. And in the meantime, I've deleted the comment. And I haven't thought about it for a couple of days, but for some reason it popped up in my head today. And I wanted to address this because this viewer said that she loves Dephemerember, but at the same time, she said that she thinks it's such a shame that this year we don't have anything except like the regular videos, meaning that, you know, if you know Dephemerember from the past, Luise and I have introduced Effie, our little craft companion, last year. In another year, I think it was the year before, we had some snacks from around the world. And in that same year, we also had some animals that we used with our prompts. So this year we decided to do none of that. And this is where the criticism came in, that we just have the regular videos. So how I would like to reply to that, because maybe there's more of you who have the same thought. I want to say that Luise and I deliberate a lot about what to include for you for Dephemerember. And I know I'm talking to you now also in the name of Luise. We discuss every decision a lot. You don't know how many hours we spend deliberating every single detail and how to make Dephemerember better than the year before and the best experience for all of us possible. There's so much work that goes into Dephemerember, starting already months and months in advance. And we want to include everybody, no matter what your skill level is, no matter what materials you have. We really do our best to include each and every one of you as best as we can. And Luise and I both agreed that for this year, we did not want anything extra. But having said that, we do have the scraps. So yes, we had scraps last year as well. But last year we said we can use them. But this year we said you have to use, I mean, Luise and I, you don't obviously. Luise and I have to use oh, that reminds me, I have to use one today. But this year we said it's mandatory. We have to use a scrap for each prompt, as I'm sure you know by now. So we do have that in addition to our prompt list, which is already quite challenging. No matter what skill level you're at, this is a challenging prompt list. And we want you to have to think outside of the box so that you do something you wouldn't normally do without the prompt list. So when Luise and I discussed whether we would include anything else for this year, we both decided no, we do not want it, because with the experience we had from the previous years, we thought that these extra things like the animals or Effie, they really restricted us. And I think they also restricted you. And I know a lot of you enjoyed Effie and you enjoyed the animals, but there were also a lot of you who did not. So we wanted to make it more generic, so that you and we would have more freedom in creating and concentrating on what the prompt actually is, rather than having to incorporate even more elements. You always can incorporate more elements. I mean, you can take this prompt list and say, as I know some of you are actually already doing, like, I'm going to do all these prompts, but Christmas themed. Or I'm using all the prompts for a memory book I'm making about my parents. I also know that there are viewers doing that. So you can always add more rules for yourself if this seems too easy for you. If this is not enough for you, please add whatever you want. But at the same time, if we add mandatory things for you, it's going to pressure people. It's going to add to anxiety, to overwhelm. And that's what we don't want. We want this to stay fun. So we wanted to keep it as loose as possible and for you to concentrate on what is on the prompt list and nothing else. Some of you I know are also doing the scraps things. So you have exchanged journals and you have exchanged scraps, which is great, but it's an option. You know what I mean? So that is both of Louisa and my long-winded answer to this comment. And let's just leave it at that. Maybe one more thing I'd like to add is by saying it's just the prompts and it's a shame that we have nothing else is also kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of putting down all the work we've put into it and that you don't see behind the scenes. Like you don't see how much time we spend creating the freebies for you. These are all new freebies that we're creating on the spot for these particular prompts. The goodies that we have for you for our digital papers, all the discounts, the giveaway we have at the end. So please don't say it's just the prompts. It's so much more than that. Okay, now I'm really done. Sorry for this rant, but I really wanted some real talk with you here for a moment. So getting back to our frame here, I want to add some number stamps. So I'm using my Tim Holtz Field Notes set. I will link this set for you below. And I'm going to use my black archival ink for that. Let's take these off. I think we're good to go. So I'm just going to randomly stamp some numbers for interest on my frame. So I'm very happy with this so far. And next I want to grunge it up a little bit more. I'm going to try out this Picket Fence Distress ink. Love this one. Let's put some here on my medium mat. Add some water. And this is why it was important to use permanent ink so it doesn't smear now. And then I'll just add some of that white here. Louisa did that in one of her Dephemerember videos. I don't know which date that was, to be honest, but it looked so cool. And I thought, let's try that because it made hers look really old. And it was something, what was it, that made her elements look dusty? Oh, it was the one where she painted some bottles. Oh, it was the apothecary label and Quirky Cat and Dog, December 4th. So that looked so cool. Then I thought, I have to try that, and this is the day for me to try that. I just looked through my viewfinder, and on camera this looks so much darker than it is in real. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's maybe add some more water here and try to blend that out a little bit more so that it doesn't look so blotchy, you know what I mean? Wow, it still looks very, very white on camera. Sometimes the camera really changes colors so much. Let's also try some hickory smoke. I'm so in love with this warm gray. It's so beautiful. Will we still be able to see the numbers at the end? Hopefully. And then I also want to get a little more warmth in, so I'm going to use Vintage Photo. Very interestingly, it looks like picket fence is swallowing all of the other colors. I don't see really any of those. So let's try Distress Spray Stain Vintage Photo. Put it here on the side. This is much more pigmented, of course. Let's see. Oops. Here from the brush. Let's see. Oh, this is super dark. Oh my goodness. Maybe we need to spray this with some water. This is way too dark. Oh yeah, that's nice. That looks amazing. Okay, let's keep doing that. Oh yeah, baby. There we go. That's what I needed. That's the beauty of experimenting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's a disaster. Yes, let's see what this looks like when it's dry. So I would definitely call that a success, but there's two more things I still need. One is I want to redefine the edges with the ground espresso because those kind of got lost now through spraying it with water. Obviously, those got diluted as well. So let's bring those back.
When December begins, crafting makes nights long. We come together where we belong, with paper and glue, our hearts.
And one more detail to make it really mine. Yep, we need gold. Let's spray some here. And since I only want small splatters, I want to do this with my splatter brush. So now I'm happy with it. So this is what it looked like before. How boring is that? And this is what we have now. Yum, yum, yum. So what do we put inside the frame? This is where your next freebie comes into play. So I have this freebie here for you, which you can find linked below on my Ko-fi site. So these are scraps of fabric and paper and some hydrangea petals that are in a journal that I'm going to show you, or it's actually more of a book. So this is hand stitching that I have made, and obviously there's some machine stitching as well. So have fun with this. I have also used these parts in my Keeper of Memory digitals, which was a goodie from another video. So let me show you where the inspiration for the rest of this came from and why I wanted to use these and give you these. So this came from one of my very favorite and most precious books or journals, actually more of a memory book that I've ever made. I know many of you have seen this before. This was made in a course by Alex Castro Ferreira. She was here in Vienna and I was lucky enough to get a spot there. This was 1.5 or 2 years ago, and I love this book to bits. This is a very special book in which I wanted to tell the love story of my parents. So all of these pieces that you see here have very special meanings. I incorporated a lot of old photos of my parents. Wait, let me just get rid of this. I won't show you a whole flip through now because I have a video which I will link for you below. I think it's 2 or 3 videos. I could not share exactly how I made the journal because, as I said, it was a paid course that I took, so I cannot take that away from Alex, obviously. But I show you some of the things that happened in the course, and I shared some footage of before I went there, of my preparations, and also a flip through of the final thing and something else I made afterwards. So you see here we have embroidery there, some hand stitching, and this is what inspired today's project. So this is all my mom and dad. Here we have the hydrangeas. I just love this book so much. You can probably tell it's not my usual style, which is great. We have some more stitching here, but it was so much fun. I learned so much in this course. Alex also has this as an online course, so I will try to link that for you below as well, in case you want to check that out. These are my grandparents, and there's so much stitching in here, so many different textures and the fabrics. This took a while to make, but it was so worth it. How cute is my mom there? So you can see these came from here. There's more stitching there. And that's the back side. So in theory, you wouldn't even have to do any hand stitching. You could just use this. If hand stitching, is that what it's called? Slow stitching is not your thing. So what I want to do is use some of these pieces to make a background for this frame. So I'm going to not cut, but tear some of these bits and then see how we can arrange them.
Dephemerember, where hearts unite. With every piece we shine so bright. Across the world our spirits soar.
And by the way, speaking of stitched, I also have a goodie for you. So in my shop, you will see there's a separate category for stitched. What is it called? Stitched and something else. I will link that specific category for you below. And on that whole category, you can use a 25% discount, and you will see several digitals within that category. Quite a variety of things actually. So minus 25% until the end of January 2025 using the code that you see on the screen now. So let's see if these 4 are enough to cover the frame. Oh yes, they are. That's awesome. I'll ink these up with Vintage Photo just because some of them have some white bits. So I'm taking a fairly light color because all I really want is to get rid of the white. I don't necessarily need to define the edges. So then I'll glue the pieces onto each other. Turned like this, it's even better. So let's just snip these corners off and glue this piece down. And I just realized I should not have done that. I'm not ready to glue that down yet. So hopefully I can take this off. Oh no. Please come off. Because there's another layer I need to add in between. I forgot about that one. It's the most important thing. Okay, phew. So I also want to add some real stitching to this. Let's stick with the red that we have here. That's a bit lighter. This is quite dark. Yeah, but I guess that's the one. So we don't need to do anything fancy. Let's start from the back. It would be great to let the glue dry first, but it wouldn't be me if I would do that. It might also be better to first make your holes through the paper. But again, where's the fun in that? So I'm going to make crosses like I did here, and they can be as wonky as they want. I enjoy sewing on paper. I used to do quite a bit of embroidery when I was younger, when my mom was still with us. She taught me. Now I don't anymore. Oh, I actually have something in my craft room hanging. I will show you. I'm actually quite proud of that. I could not imagine doing one of those today. So I'm quite proud to have that. It's because I just wouldn't have the patience now. But of course, back then I didn't know anything about junk journaling. I think if I would have known about junk journaling, I wouldn't have made that either. I would have made journals. And then let's also add some down here. I think anybody can do X's, no? The easiest thing for the back side now is just to glue these down with tape. You don't have to make any knots. You don't have to sew them together somehow. That was always the part I hated the most, tying up the threads in the back. My mom always said you can tell if someone is good with embroidery if the back side of the piece is almost as beautiful as the front. So this is the piece, it's cross stitching. It's an apple tree branch. Maybe I should hold it like this. And it has a bell here. I am quite proud of this. I wish I could show you the back, but it's covered up, so I can't. So you might have noticed that we don't have a focal point. I mean, this is pretty, but I want to have a focal point. And I decided to use this photo here, this one, which I printed on an overhead transparency. So this is the same photo that we have here on the prompt list. And I added one of these into Louise's journal. I think I have a photo of that. I will put that for you here. And I wanted to have one in my journal as well. So that means I am going to first, where's my pen? Okay, my pen has disappeared. That's not gonna work. So you can buy overhead transparencies that are specifically meant for inkjet printers or also laserjet printers. That is fun. Okay, now we can glue the layers together. So if we channel our inner Louisa from yesterday, she would definitely not leave this as it is. So the first thing I want to do is add some more stitching through the transparency. And for this, I am going to make the holes first, because I think that would be very difficult otherwise. Oh, I just had a thought. Oh, I can still do that. Okay. Just changed my mind mid punching holes. Yeah, I messed it up a little bit, but not so bad. Can you see what it is? Okay, I have to say this is not something Louisa would do because Louisa doesn't do hearts.
From simple scraps to colors bold, we wrap our stories into gold. Each prompt a spark, a joyful ember, bringing warmth and Dephemerember. Dephemerember.
Then we could also use the hydrangea petals. I do have real ones here that are dried, but I actually prefer the paper ones because I'm sure these won't break because they're quite brittle. Oh, and we need to use a scrap from Louisa. Let's not forget that. So they definitely need gold splatters as well. And I'm doing that before I put it here because once they're here, I cannot use my heat tool because it would melt my overhead transparency. We don't want that. So we have these. I've also inked up the edges. But when we add them like this, you can hardly see them because it's nearly the same tone. So let's use one of Louise's scraps, maybe some, oh, this is from the packaging, that doesn't count. But she had some lace here. We could tear a piece from here. Oh, so much better. Oh yeah, let's try adding some white thread as well. Yes. So to me, this piece is so much more than just paper bag handles and some stitching. For me, this is a reflection of the connections that hold us together. So the stitches here in the background, and also of course the heart, they symbolize the bond between Louisa and myself. We are tied together by our shared friendship, but also of course by our love for junk journaling. And I could not ask for a better collaboration partner. But of course, also beyond that, they also represent the incredible community that has grown around this craft. So each stitch is like a thread representing the incredible community that has grown around this specific craft. And each stitch is like a thread weaving through all of us, linking our creativity and our stories and our passion for turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. And it's also a reminder that even though we may be creating in different corners of the world, we are stitched together by this shared joy. And that's what makes this community so, so beautiful. So let's find a spot in this beautiful journal. So I don't want to stick this into something. I want to attach it. This might not be the worst page because this is Louise's favorite paper from Rome and it's so special. Maybe this is the perfect spot. How do we do that? Why don't we make holes? This is kind of similar to what Louisa did yesterday with her mini, what is it called? Mini pocket letter. And then let's attach it with brads. So there we go. That's my take on paper bag handle and slow stitching. Wow, we have completed 3 weeks. So we have 6 more prompts to go. You have a long weekend ahead where you can either catch up, do your own prompts, or just relax. That's also okay. Hope to see you back here on Monday, the 23rd. Have a great weekend. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!